You guys, am I tripping, or did everybody in 2024 become more conservative? Like become a right-wing, anti-trans, anti-pronoun type of conservative? Welcome to All the Above with Tara. Tara is me, and all the above basically means being able to live free, giving yourself the permission to do and be whoever you want, of course, as long as it falls within your values. Don't be crazy. But yes, this is all the above. People have changed from 2020. 2020, I was turning 21. This year, I turned 25. And the general sentiment of the 2020 pandemic era was mental health, fat positivity, body positivity, pronouns, trans rights, and acceptance. I think it's more so trans acceptance, sensitivity towards LGBTQIA, anti-questioning, anti-going against anybody who was LGBTQ or body positive, and the list goes on. I think we were all there if you were watching this. My thing is, I feel like people have changed. I feel like it's been a complete 180 reverse from what the people believed 4 years ago. And I just kind of want to explore why is that. So I was talking to my friend a couple of days ago, and we were just having a discussion about nature versus nurture, essentially. My argument was that humans, the way we behave, we're socialized to behave this way. Do you understand? Like the way we came out of the womb from birth, I don't think a lot of us, hey, this is not based off of any research. If you have research to counteract this, go ahead and drop it in the comments. I don't think that we were born not wanting to kill people, not wanting to hunt our prey, and not wanting to, trigger warning, take what we want. If you catch our drift. I don't think we were born with instincts to respect each other in the way that we do now. She didn't really have an argument against that, but she was, however, more so troubled by the fact that people are less seemingly liberal and open-minded than they were before. And that brings me to my question. How much of who we are is activism, socialization, and self-preservation? My answer, I think a lot of it. I think a lot of the beliefs that most people feel like they hold today is an act of self-preservation. There's so many videos and information online. It tells you that humans want to be a part of the pack because it means safety. That is our natural instinct. We want to be protected. And in 2020, in order to feel protected and not like an outcast, you had to agree with certain ideals. If you didn't, you were canceled, you were bashed, you lost money. Hence, no safety. You feel me? Now people are less scared to go against the grain in that sense, especially when Donald Trump was no longer president. We had President Joe Biden. Tensions were also high because Donald Trump was president and he propagated so much hate. So I think in order to counteract that, there was an effort to push, all these liberal agendas. That's what they call everything an agenda. To push a liberal agenda. You with me? Y'all with me? There's this guy on TikTok. You may have seen him if you're on your For You page. I think his name is like Bambino. He's a gay guy. He's a gay guy with a son who has strong opinions towards how a lot of people in the trans community behave, how they dress, and how they present themselves. Bambino, if you watch this, I'm not necessarily here for arguments. I'm more so here for discussions because I don't believe we're each other's enemy. Bambino. He's an example of somebody who I feel like we wouldn't have seen in 2020, who's very outspoken about his opinions towards how he feels like gay people should dress, specifically gay men. I think he has mentioned gay women, how he thinks trans people should present themselves, whether or not he thinks it's an illness. And by the way, guys, if you don't have common sense, please leave this video. I'm not here to propagate hate. I'm not here to bash anybody. If you don't have sense, or if you're too sensitive, leave the video. Leave the video. This is an objective take, an objective analyzation of my For You page. The real question is, did people become more conservative, or were people just hiding how they really felt in 2020 out of fear of being canceled? let's be honest here. A lot of people did not believe, do not hold the same sentiments as people in the LGBTQ community. A lot of people don't hold the same sentiments as people who are body positive. Naturally, humans don't hold those type of I mean, of course, I think there is an acknowledgement that you can condition humans into believing anything, and that's where I feel like 2020 was going towards. I feel like we're trying to reteach ourselves to be more accepting of things that were not traditionally accepted in society. Who's to blame? Is it them to blame? Is it how we naturally are? Is that how we are? These beliefs so deeply rooted that we can't get rid of them in our generation? Like, what is it going to take for people to really believe that somebody can be a they, or somebody can be a zero, or that being a size 22 is not is healthy and you were born to be fat? Ooh, that's controversial to say. And with the body positivity thing, I see the word big back on TikTok more than I see anything about body positivity. Big back would have got you canceled in 2020, bro. It would have gotten you in trouble from 2016 to 2020, especially in 2020. But not everybody's calling them big backs. Not fat people are using the term big back because they think it's funny. I wonder what impact is that having on the fat community, the plus size community, excuse me. I don't know if fat is fat a bad word. I don't think it's a bad word. I think it's just an objective, like fat, like it's fat. I'm asking you, the viewer, do you think that we are wired to see slimmer? For example, slim thick. Do you think we're wired to see slim thick as more attractive? Because here's my perspective. Here's how it seems to me. I think the more visceral fat that you see on a person's body can be, if you're daft, listen, can be an indicator of health, right? Since we are beings based off of survival, is it that when we see somebody who has a lot of visceral fat, we see them as a liability, we see them as unhealthy, and that's no longer attractive to us? And when men see, or women, or whatever, see a woman with a nice bum, that activates the pleasure centers in our brain, and we see them as useful because they could work for us. That could bring us pleasure. Having someone who is slim or fit could increase our survival instincts. Do you get what I mean? I think, hey, I'm just saying, it seems like our perspectives seem to be rooted in survival. Same thing with black skin. A lot of historically black skin was not accepted in many different spaces in society, even in the black community, because being black was seen as a liability. Being black was seen as you were a slave. You were a slave, or you were not as superior to the white man, because the white man had a lot of resources. So white became synonymous with success, black became synonymous with failure. But that's a conditioning thing. Now that more black people are becoming successful, people are embracing their blackness, not only because black people are becoming more successful, but because black people are just starting to love themselves. However, when it comes to fat people, it's not giving the same. And I wonder if that is because we are, like I said, it's survival of the fittest type of thing. Another thing, I remember the media, oh my gosh, the media played such a huge impact on this, especially companies like Netflix and all the streaming companies, adding a DE&I sector to their, I think this happened in 2020, adding a DEI section to their streaming platforms. Every company had a DEI, what's it called? A department that now they've fired everybody since 2020 because they didn't really mean it, obviously. When it comes to the plus size community, I know in the film and Hollywood world, there was and there's been talks about having a plus size lead. And simultaneously having the movie not be centered around the fact that the lead is plus sized. And I'm like, knowing what I know in 2024, seeing how y'all are as flip-floppy. I mean, not just y'all, us, humans. Seeing as how humans are so flip-floppy when it comes to what they actually believe. Would y'all enjoy that movie? Or would y'all criticize it? If you had a big person, think of the biggest person you can think of. I'm not judging you for who you think of. Just think of the biggest person you can think of. And they played Allie in The Notebook. If the movie was The Notebook, and the biggest person you could think of played the lead character through the sex scenes, through this, that, the other, I'm challenging you. I'm not trying to offend anybody. I'm calling our own biases out. Would you enjoy that movie, or would you be too distracted by the fact that that person is big? Just think about it. Now, this is not me saying I would personally be distracted. I think, you know what, I'm going to avoid saying what I think because I want to be asked. Do y'all want to know what I think? If you want to know what I think, then, I'm not just, I don't want to give my unsolicited. But I do think that other people would be distracted. I think people would make fun of it, bro. If I'm being totally honest with the way things are in society, I think people would make fun of that whole, Allie in The Notebook is big. Really big. My point is, was it all a lie? Do y'all be lying when y'all, advocate for stuff? Can we actually look inward and recognize the way in which all of us are sheep and just do things to avoid being outcasted from society? Or do we do things for the sake of self-preservation? What do you really think about fat phobia? What do you really think about people being born morbidly obese, or being born and it's inevitable that they grow into being morbidly obese? What do you really think about pronouns? What do you really think about Black people? Racism? What do you really think about immigration? Do you feel like a bad person for how you think about all these things? Are you scared to say how you feel even when you're asked? Why? This brings me to my next point. The idea of morality. The idea of morality is solely dependent. Here's my opinion. The idea of morality is solely dependent on our views of spirituality and religion, or our lack of religion, as some people might call it. Good and bad, as you can see, as you've seen with your own eyes. Everybody knows this throughout history. It's been proven. But from 2020 to 2024, we've seen how people change up their views of life and their opinions on what is good and bad and moral and acceptable. They have changed just in 4 years. Just in 4 years. And beyond 2020, they've changed. They always change. What is good and bad and moral and just. If we leave it up to us, bro, there's no reason we shouldn't be killing each other. I think that's instinctual. Here's something else me and my friend were talking about the other day. Trans people and the LGBTQ community. Her argument was if society reverts to not acknowledging pronouns, not being more kind and sensitive towards the trans community, when does it stop? That was her question. When does it stop? First, people say, I think pronouns are annoying. Next is, I think gay people in general are annoying. Next, I think gay marriage is annoying. Next is, I don't think there should be gay marriage. Next is, I think nobody should be gay. And we should, and it keeps getting more extreme. And I was like, interesting. That's really interesting. But in my head, that's the same argument people use against the LGBT community when they're talking about LGBTQ. Did I say Q? Community. That's the same argument people use against XYZ ABC. That's the argument people use against the LGBTQ community when they're discussing their rights. Oh, like gay marriage should be legal. Then it's, oh, we should use pronouns and she, her, and call a boy a girl and a girl a boy. Oh, next is like trans people should be able to transition as children. Next is, oh, they teach it in schools. Next is this. Next is this. So they get to pedophilia. Next is pedophilia. Next is bestiality. When does it stop? Two people are using the same logic to argue, and both don't make sense. I mean, both have their points. Let me not front. My point is, guys, and I hope this has landed, if we leave it up to humankind to decide what is good and moral, then we will kill each other till we all go extinct because of how flip-floppy and wishy-washy we are. And a lot of the basis of what we think is right is based on religion, whether you like it or not, even if you're not a religious person. Because there's plenty of religions and spiritual practices that people have that think under certain circumstances what we would consider murder is okay. And then a lot of people like to bring up what is natural, what is nature. I don't think we should be going off of what is natural and what is nature, guys. Hey, that's my hot take. Because what occurs in nature doesn't necessarily mean it's right. I don't even have, based off of that sentence alone, I know you can imagine a bunch of things that occur in nature that I'm sure you wouldn't agree with. Do you get what I'm saying? I just saw a duck. The other day, I saw a duck run after another female duck and take her. Take as in what we would consider rape. I don't know if I can say rape on YouTube, but I saw a duck. A duck force itself on another duck. Who are you to say that's not natural? Does that go against the laws of nature? I think how we instinctually behave is very dangerous. If we weren't socialized to not murder each other when we are angry or to not steal from each other, then we would just be doing it. Because guess what? When you're hungry, when you're poor, when you're in poverty, when you need stuff and your survival, your survival is on the line, you go out and do what? Take. Let's not rate ourselves more than we need to. Humans naturally, guys, and I'm not even trying to be self-deprecating, we're not that we're not that holy, and we're not that we're not angels. We're very dangerous intelligent beings. If it weren't for religion, a lot of us would act in a way. What do y'all think? Leave y'all's comments below. Do y'all think we're becoming more conservative? Do y'all think there's becoming a more clear divide? Have you changed your mind on anything that you used to believe in 2020? Comment below. This was all the above with me, Tara. And in the case of murder, they were called honor killings, dueling, battling, fighting to the death, all of that stuff. Even now, war. Anyways, I don't get. Hey, there's reasons for that. It even happened in the Bible. We can get into that on a different day. Maybe I can feature somebody who's more of an expert on that subject.